guys. Today's guest is Sean Douglas, a former Air Force drill instructor that almost committed suicide and is now a TEDx speaker. Got Sean Douglas today, and I'm going to read through his bio. So Sean is a U.S. Air Force veteran, TEDx speaker, master resilience implementer, international radio show host, performance enhancement expert, and author. Holy shit, that's a mouthful. His why is he's a suicide survivor who hit rock bottom with no purpose or passion. He believes that you were created for a purpose, and once you unlock your true potential, you will elevate your life, which is why he founded the Success Corps. In a highly interactive, engaging environment using online mentoring, sessions, and face-to-face workshops, Sean offers life transformation skills and business strategies to millennials up to 50-year-old professionals, military veterans, and emerging speakers and entrepreneurs that will unlock your true potential and elevate them to new heights in their personal and professional lives. Sean equips people with tools necessary to live epic lives and leaves people better equipped to manage and change effectively. Sean, thanks for coming to the show, brother.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm honored to be here.
Oh, awesome. All right, so now that we got through all the BS of reading your bio, why don't you go through and tell me the real stuff? I mean, what is it you really do? What's the story? How'd you get there?
How did I get here? So I joined the military at I was like 17, 18. I was like 18. Yeah, it was like right after 9/11. Like 9/11 happened. I was working at Discount Tire as a warehouse manager. Just graduated high school. Graduated like a 1.9, 2.0, I don't know, something like that.
Nice.
And yeah,
I'm really proud. I had a 2.1, so we're like
right. I wasn't going to college. Like I wasn't going to college. I'm like, this is stupid. You know what I mean? So I was basically working at Discount Tire, and I had no purpose, no passion. Like I wasn't doing anything. So what do I do? And that's it. You know, I joined the military. I'm like, see you later. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just kind of floundered there. Like I wasn't like excelling, but I wasn't like, it's hard to explain. I just did the bare minimum. You know, we have these core values. We have all this, you know, I was like, whatever, like partying, living it up, you know, living in England, moved from England to Idaho, went from Idaho to Utah, met my wife in Utah, went to Texas, and now I'm in North Carolina. So I got about 3 years left, and I'm exiting out, right? I'm like retiring, like I'm done. And
right.
so through those, and it sounds like a great career, right? Like I was a drill instructor, I worked depot, I've been TDY deployed, like, you know, great career, right? But what you don't see behind the scenes is my battle with alcohol and my battle with relationships and my battle with, you know, my own negative feelings about myself and my own self-indulgence into the things that we probably shouldn't go into. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As military members, you know? So I didn't do anything too bad. Like I wasn't like hooked on, you know, like some guys get hooked on like, you know, methamphetamines and, you know, they get hooked on like heroin and things like that. It wasn't me, you know, but I was definitely abusing alcohol and doing stupid things and I didn't care. I'm just like, yeah, whatever, you know? But, you know, I go through all this stuff, you know, and then there's a breaking point that everybody goes to, right? There's a breaking point where it's like, okay, enough is enough. Like, I've got to better my life. You know, that wasn't me. I was like, I'm just going to end it because this sucks. You know, like I went the other way. Like this sucks. Like this life sucks. So yeah, man, I'm a suicide survivor too. And I meet a lot of these guys that are in the military that go that route just because like the mental stuff that we go through, you know, it just kind of messes with you. You know, you don't feel like you're good enough. You don't feel like you're supported enough. You don't feel like you're contributing to anything because all you feel like is you're getting bent over. You know what I mean? But
right.
When you're overseas and you're deployed and you're like with your brethren, like it's those moments that you know, that's why those guys do 4, 5, and 6 tours. Like, I gotta go back over there. Like the camaraderie is over there. You know what I mean? And
right.
the closeness and you feel valued over there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you come back to the States, everybody's like, whatever, just another day at work, you know? So,
right.
Yeah, man, the alcohol abuse was huge, man. That was really bad.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that a little bit because, you know, one of the things that I always tell everybody is the Marine Corps taught me a couple of talents, and none of them are good. You know, they taught me to drink. They taught me how to fight. They taught me how to cuss. You know, I mean, they give you a lot of bad things because, you know, they take people from 50 different states, you know, slam in one thing and tell you to grow up together. I mean, so you're all immature as hell. right, going through the process, and then you're supposed to figure it out all along the way. And I'm really curious about this because a lot of guys battle with alcoholism. They battle with, their own personal demons, whether the civilian sector, the veteran sector, all these things. For you, other than you found out that life sucked, right, at that moment, how did you know you really needed to change and get out of that lifestyle? I think 'cause a lot of people get there and they don't know that they should. Was there a moment for you that was like this click, or did you just one day throw down the bottle?
No, man. My house burned down. So
okay, I wasn't expecting that. I don't mean to laugh at your house burned down.
So yeah, man. March 27th or 23rd or something like that. March 17th or something like that. St. Patrick's Day, 2007, huge monster party. Me and my two buddies, we're living together in Utah. We throw this monster freaking rager, right? We got a couple kegs, like we've got the Keystone Light, you know what I mean? Cause you get 30 in a pack, you know what I mean? So we're just
high class beer. Got it.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Got the Budweiser kegs, got the Keystone Light, we got the bottles of Jack, like we're just, doing Irish car bombs, and we're just going hard, right? So what happens is there's a group of people that show up who was not invited, and of course things happen, and then all of a sudden, like, everybody's leaving for the night and whatever. I guess these guys had come back and like set my shed on fire, set my house on fire. Like, it was crazy how it happened. Like, somebody was like, "Hey, this dude's in your garage." I'm like, "Who's in my garage?" There's like a rag in the gas tank, like, on fire. And I'm like, "Oh my God." It was like, luckily the gas tank wasn't there. We were working on a car, and we had taken the gas tank off the car. So there was like literally no gas, which was a tube. But he tried to like blow up his car. Like, the arson investigator, 2 days later, arson investigator comes and finds the cap like underneath the tire. Like, you don't just place a gas cap there. And plus we had the gas cap on it. But yeah, there was like so much wrong that happened that night, like the house burns, and like, I think there's like only like there's a 2-story house. Top layer's gone. The bottom layer of the house, like living room, kitchen, was mostly there. Stairs were like gone because that's just the layout of that house. Yeah, it was bad, dude.
Oh,
so,
dude, that's rough.
I lost my house, man. And they gave me $1,000. USAA gives me $1,000. Red Cross put me up in a hotel for about 4 days. And then after that, I was like, now what do I do? I didn't have any money, Well,
you were in the military, so of course you were broke.
Yeah, I had two jobs. I was working at a discount tire and I was doing my military job just to make some extra money. I was working at a discount tire, but that sucked, man.
Yeah, no kidding. So how do you get past something like that? I've been in some crazy stuff in my life, but I can honestly say, thank God, I've never been through a house fire, especially that somebody else set on fire. I did have some time where I had a truck burn up in a parking lot.
Oh, wow.
But somebody set the car next to mine on fire. And they determined it was arson, so none of the insurances would cover it because they wouldn't cover arson. So similar, but it was only a truck and not my whole house. So how do you get beyond that? How do you go from the party life, the hard living life, to losing your house, to, I don't want to say destitute, but working 2 jobs, trying to support yourself and everything? How do you pick yourself up and move forward from all that?
Well, so the house that burned down was a rental. So after not getting the security deposit back,
obviously,
kind of still mad about that. I should have got my deposit back. But anyway,
if you would have got your deposit back, you just became the greatest salesman on the face of the earth. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that kind of sucked. So, I'm staying in the hotel trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to do. And so I had to tell, my boss, what was going on, like the house burned down. So I'm like on like watch and all this stuff. And my wife is the only person that was there, who offered to help and offered to, cause my roommates were like, "I'm out. Like, I'm done. See you this,"
Right.
So my one roommate moves back to Idaho. The other roommate was from Utah. So he goes and like lives with his mom. And it was just staying in a hotel, man, by yourself. You're like, I need to do something. Like, this is crazy. So as I'm going through the ashes and trying to pick out like most of it's wasted anyways, so I literally have nothing. You make a decision, you know what I mean? Like something like this needs to change. You know what I mean? Like that's the moment, that house fire, like that's the moment where you're like, all right, dude, my life just went up in flames. Like, literally, it's time to get serious, So luckily she wanted to help me out, asked me to stay, kind of live with her. And so we did, You know, we ended up living with each other. I moved into her apartment, living with each other and all that. And after that, we got married, like you do in any hectic situation. You get married.
Right, because the best relationships are always after a
Yeah.
master catastrophe.
Right.
You know,
It's the best time to get married, yeah.
What was that movie, Speed? Wasn't that
Speed,
Sandra
yeah.
Bullock game?
Yeah, right. You know, we said that our relationship is forged in the fire, you know. So, yeah, man, we ended up getting married like July of that year. So my house burns down in March. We move in, and then we get married in July.
Oh, nice.
Like 4
so
months.
yeah, nothing like expediting the process.
Right. Yeah. Try to get to failure faster.
Right.
So a year later, we divorced. You know, like we're done. Like this is terrible. When I got married, I was like, why should anything change? Like I'm gonna get married. Like so what? It's gonna be great. It's gonna be bliss. You know what I mean? And it super wasn't, because I still wanted to hang out with my friends. Still wanted to have UFC parties. Still wanted to hang out and drink and do stupid stuff. Still wanted to do all that, but can't really behave like that with a family. So we ended up divorcing right around like October, November. Like we're done, right? Divorce papers are in. We're separated. We're done. Christmas Eve, 2008. That was the point where I was like, I'm still drinking. I still, can't get over this negative, self-defeating behaviors that I'm in. And so, I pulled out my Springfield 1911, and I was done, man. I put it in my mouth and I was done. But, people ended up calling me, showing up to the house, like stopping me, and then, I ended up getting help. Went to therapy a lot because, I had some childhood trauma that happened. I was physically abused as a kid, from second grade to like sixth grade. I watched my mom, brutally beat, by her ex-husband, my ex-stepdad, and my older sister was abused in many ways by him, so I grew up in an alcohol-dominated domestic violence household, and when I joined the military, they advocate for drinking. Advocate, like, oh, we gotta go drink, like that's the thing, you know what I mean? There's no healthy outlets. You know what I mean?
Right.
You work a lot, and then when you're in the desert and you're on these, these duties and stuff, it's like you don't have the outlets. You're going to the gym, but you don't have a creative outlet. You know what I mean? So everybody gets drunk, and that's what they do. I think it's like an emotional camaraderie thing, and that's what it was for me. It was like an emotional attachment to the fun that you have, right? So here we are, December 2008. I was just done, dude. I just wanted to be done with it, and that was the lowest point of my life, where it's like everything around me is I'm done.
Right.
So people help me, take me to therapy. They got chaplains. They got, a straight up military regiment, right? Like you're going to alcohol classes. You're going to talk to the chaplains. You're going to talk to the commander, the first sergeant's involved, like all this stuff, right? And instead of kicking me out, they like literally got me help, like therapy, like everything. They got me help.
That's huge.
And so, yeah, dude. And so I started, I ended up stopped smoking for a little bit. I was smoking cigars. I stopped smoking for a little bit. I wasn't drinking. And they said that, you've been working, like you're a total different person, like you need to go be a drill instructor. I'm like, really? Like whatever you're doing, like the therapy's working, like everything's working, like you need to go be a drill instructor. So I did. I went and became a drill instructor. And that's where the passion for speaking was unlocked. In 2009, I went down there in September of 2009, September 2009, and started rocking the drill instructor thing, and it was amazing. That is when I unlocked a passion for speaking I didn't know I had, and I got into professional development.
Now that's interesting for me. So hear me out. I'm going to bust your chops a little bit on this
okay.
too. When I think of a drill instructor, I have the Marine Corps drill instructor in my head.
Sure.
At no point would I ever look at any one of my Marine Corps drill instructors and said, "Oh, that guy's going to be a professional speaker someday." So walk me through what experience in the Air Force, being a drill instructor, led you to I'm going to be a professional speaker, because I'm pretty sure all my drill instructors did was yell and scream and holler and spit in my face because they're yelling so loudly at me on a regular basis. How does that translate? I get it. I'm going to bust your chops. I know the Air Force boot camp's not as stringent as the Marine Corps boot camp.
Sure.
So part of it is enlighten me on that knowledge, but I'm really curious how that happened to go to that transition.
Yeah. So at the time, basic training was 8 weeks. 8 weeks of basic training. So now it's 7. Air Force went back down to they were 6.5, and now it's 7 because they issue feelings. they have something called Capstone Week now, where like they want to like colonels and chiefs and like everybody come in and they like that you go to like professional seminar classes. You know, they bring in these ex-TIs who have gone on. Like I would go back and talk about like entrepreneurship, and I talk about how I can live my core values, and like so you go through the basic training, and then you go through a week of solid like development, like to embody all that stuff. It's kind of a knee-jerk reaction to the 2012 sexual scandals that happened at Lackland.
Right.
And so, I mean, I remember, you know, being a we call it TI as a training instructor, you know, but I remember being a TI. I mean, I've given myself like 2 TI strokes, like screaming so loud and so hard at somebody where like you see fuzzy and then you get all dizzy and you're like, whoa, like you start to lose consciousness. Like I've done that twice. So, and every one of my trainees, you know, at the end of the 8 weeks, I was like, so what'd you think? They're like, you have no soul. You know, I'm like, oh, whatever, you know. And so that's just like, I was super hard nosed, and I'm kind of like that anyways. Like, these are the regs. This is what we follow. And, you know, people think I'm an a-hole. I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, these are the regs. Like, this is what we have to do. This is what we have to follow. Like, I don't give a crap. Like, this is what we do. This is, you know what I mean? So basically, through this process of learning to become an instructor, I'm making all kinds of stupid mistakes, right? Like I'm screaming at people and they're like, why are you just yelling, you know, like just to yell, you know? and so what I quickly learned from people who have amazing flights going through basic training was that yes, you learn to scream at the proper times, but you also learn to become a leader. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You build up other leaders. Right. So the quarrel that I had with the Marine Corps is you guys are like, and scream. But like, where does the leadership come in? We had a bunch of Army guys come over, right? We had a bunch of Army guys come over, and we had a bunch of Air Force guys go be Army drill instructors for like a month, or it was like 2 months or something like that. And the guys were like, dude, you guys are super intense. You need to calm down. Like the Army guys don't even yell as much as we do. They're like, all about instruction, and we're all about, you know, delivering and, you know, being, you know, hard nosed. You know, you guys are like way over the top. Like, what are you screaming and flipping beds for? I'm like, cause we're hardcore, you know?
Yeah, but hear me out, man. You guys are back, you know, fluffing pillows and blankets.
Whatever.
Right. you know, in the Marine Corps, we're a rifleman first, you know?
Right.
So we're front lines, meat shield type guy.
Sure.
You know? Yep. There's got to be that level, and trust me.
Sure.
You know, as far as Marines go, dude, we get the lowest ASVAB score, and that's the right. score to get in. I mean, we didn't go in because of good looks and charms, and because you know we couldn't say more than ugh on a regular basis. So so there is a different level, and for us, leadership comes later time, but
sure.
Our job is to be a rifleman. So
yeah. So in the Air Force, the basic training is set up. You know, like you go through like the 0 week, the rainbows, like you're getting screamed at, and like that's like the intense, right? Like for the first 2 weeks, you're just like drilled, like you don't give an inch, you know. And so sometimes we have 3 different instructors down there in MTI world. We got the hard nose instructors, we got the milk and cookies instructors, and you got the dining room instructors. So what we do, like the milk cookies, like, hey, don't move at the position of attention. Don't do that. That's bad. No, right? Those are like the milk and cookies guys. Like, are you putting mints on their pillows? Like, what the hell? You know? And then you got we call them the dining room instructors. So people get mad in the Air Force. We didn't call it a chow hall. It's not a chow hall. It's a dining facility, right? But
what the hell is that?
Right? But like Army guys, they call it a dining room. Oh, we're going to the dining room. Oh, how cute. Because they're a mess hall. They're a chow hall. They're right? And so they always called it like a dining room. So anyway, the term stuck. And so you have dining room instructors where like you go up to their dorm and they're like, all right, guys, this is what we're going to do. We're going to fold some socks. And then in the dining room, they're like, like screaming and like going crazy. You're like, do this. What are you doing? And you're like, wow, dude, you don't yell like that in your dorm. But then you have the other like hard-nosed instructors where like it doesn't matter where you are. You could be down at the shopette, you know, you could be like in front of the gas station, whatever, right? And in front of the BX, you could be in front of like getting clothing issue, getting haircuts. You could be up in the dorm. You could be at church. Doesn't matter. I'm screaming at you. Right? So like that's how I was. You know, I just screamed all the time until I got to about 4th or 5th week of training, and I told them I was like, look, if by the 5th week of training, halfway through basic training, if I'm still screaming at you, I'm going to annihilate your soul, and you're going to have a very bad day. You know, so lots of push-ups, lots of workouts. You know, but it was past that point, like the screaming point, where I started to really develop the public speaking, because you have to teach classes all the way until 7th week of training. Like, you're constantly teaching. And so the Air Force NTI teaches dorm and drill and academic classes. Whereas, if I believe, the Marine Corps has a drill guy, a dorm guy, and a academic guy, where the Air Force teaches all of it. I taught 80-something classes for 8 weeks.
Wow.
My flight, I taught them all, except for, like, I didn't teach like an STD class. I didn't teach like a human relations class, all the feelings classes. I didn't do any of that. But everything else, like, we did. So I teach all my dorm. I teach all my drill. I have 1,000 hours of teaching just in like the first like 5 flights. You know what I mean? So I learned that you don't have to yell, but you have to be able to build up the leadership. So the whole purpose of going through basic training and screaming at people is to stress them out and break them down. Once they're broken down, now we need to build them up with the foundational values that we teach inside of basic training. That goes for all branches. The problem comes where you don't do that. You're cool. You're straight up like screaming at them and breaking them down, but you forget the build up part. You forget the, hey, let's lay the foundation now. And that's where most of my talent came in. I was like, I'm good at this. This is where I thrive. So I was doing a national drill competition I was outside of San Antonio. I can't remember exactly where it was, but anyway, we're doing a national drill competition. A bunch of us drill instructors went over there and judging the junior ROTC cadets. And I was like, hey guys, if you did it this way, give it little tweaks. Hey guys, for next time, if you do it this way, whatever. And I did it for everybody. I didn't do it for one school. I did it for everybody. And then one of the instructors was like, hey, would you want to come and like talk to my kids or whatever? I'm like, that'd be awesome. So I go to the high school, I talk to them, and then the principal's like, would you want to talk to the whole school? I'm like, let's talk to the whole school. Let's do this. Nice. So then I talked to the whole school, and I was like, this is fun. And so I tried to really like bring that intensity to the stage without scaring them. You know what I mean?
Right.
I talked to colleges, talked to high schools, all free stuff. I never thought about videoing it. And I was like, this is awesome. I love this. And then somebody was like, well, what do you charge? I'm like, what do you mean? What do I charge? Like, I don't know what you're saying. What do you charge? Like, you charge a fee, right? I'm like, I don't know. What kind of fee? I don't know what you're talking about. They're like, well, when we hire instructors or speakers, we usually pay them. I'm like, you do? Well, that's good because I have a fee. They're like, okay, cool. What's your fee? I'm like, $500. She's like, perfect. And then gives me a check. And I was like, crap, I should ask for more.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I meant 5,000. 5,000.
I meant 5,000. 5,000. So as I'm walking away, I'm like, holy crap, dude, I've given like a ton of free speeches, like crap. So I started going back to those places. And I was like, hey, if you have an orientation, if you have a graduation ceremony, like I'd love to be your speaker. Like, oh, that would be great. The kids loved you. Come on back. I'm like, that's awesome. It's $500. Like, oh, we don't pay speakers. I'm like, oh, come on. Wait a minute. So yeah, like, we don't pay speakers. Sorry, we don't pay speakers. I'm like, I just got paid the other day. Like, well, we don't have money. So then all of a sudden, like, I had calendars lined up to give free speeches. But I was like, yeah, it's like $500. And they're like, yeah, we don't pay. Sorry. I'm like, what? Like, you don't pay. So then all of a sudden I had no speeches. I'm like, oh my God, like, come on. So yeah, I learned real fast, started like becoming the business part.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's how I got started, man. I was doing high schools and colleges in the military because they asked me like, hey, could you come speak at our school? Sure.
So during that process, because one of the things I want to make sure we cover is how you got the TEDx speech, because I know a lot of my people are going to want to know that. How did you figure out kind of that rhythm on stage? Because you go from yelling at these guys to teaching these guys, and now you've got to capture an audience's attention when you're in front of the room. Walk us through that. And I've seen your TEDx talk, so I know it's very storytelling style, which is awesome. Right. So walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah. So when you're doing drill, you start to get mad. You know what I mean? People are moving, their guys are itching. I used to tell my trainees, I'm like, hey, I don't care if a pterodactyl comes and rips your head off, you will die at the position of attention. You will fall to the ground at the position of attention. When I'm in an academic classroom, I like to remove that barrier a little bit and get kind of personable with them. Like if we're in a classroom and let's say we're doing like SABC or we're doing like
what's SABC?
SABC is self-aid buddy care.
Okay.
So let's say I'm doing like a self-aid buddy care class, right? And I was like, all right, guys, so, if you have this type of bleeding, this is the wrap that you want to do. If you go into the scene, a scene is safe. You're making sure that, some guy's not going to snipe you while going to, collect your partner, whatever. Like I'm talking to him, right? If I turn around and goes, all right, guys, you need to save lives, and I'm like hard-nosed, like as I would upstairs in the dorm or like on the drill pad, it would never connect.
Right.
So I found out that it's like a switch. You have to turn it on, turn it off, and in the academic classroom, even when we're teaching like a core values class, like, hey guys, look, we have 3 core values in the military, in the Air Force, it's this, this, and this, this is how you live them out. And this is how and you're trying to get like real personal and you're trying to bring them together. Like that is the attitude that I have. A little bit of the MTI, like the drill instructor, like intensity. That's what separates me from everybody else on stage. So I learned to separate the two. I learned that you have to create the story. You have to bring it from the known to the unknown, right? Like when I taught my beds, I'd be like, who likes cheeseburgers? Anybody like cheeseburgers? Oh, I love cheeseburgers. You ever gone to McDonald's and the cheeseburgers are just like smashed together and it's crap? But you go to like a 5-star restaurant and they're so gourmet, made, nice, plump, juicy burgers. Like, yeah, like that's how I want my beds. I want my bed like a 5-star, plump, juicy hamburger, not a wrinkled hot McDonald's mess. Like that's what I want, And they're like, oh, okay, cool, got it, Sometimes it brings them together. Okay, all right, guys, enough laughing. Let's get it together. It's so. But when you could crack one joke, bring them in, and now you draw them in, like it just works. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now you have their attention because all they see you as is the guy who screams at me at 4:30 in the morning.
Right.
So when I did my TEDx talk, I said, when I started speaking professionally in 2015, I'm talking professionally, like I'm not getting paid for free no more. Like that's not even a dollar amount for me.
Right.
Like I will turn you down if I get, oh, we don't pay speakers. Sorry. Have a nice day. Can I sell from the stage? No. Have a nice day. 2015, I said, I'm doing this professionally. And I said, in 5 years, I will have a TEDx talk. I just will because that's the bar. Once you get a TEDx talk, it's like you've made it. It's the Super Bowl of speaking. You've made it. Right? In order to get a TEDx talk, I had to figure out what I was going to talk about, my big idea. I was talking about a big idea, right? It doesn't have to be like revolutionary like Facebook or social media. It can be anything. Right. And mine was just hacking your brain to success because I learned resilient skills. I left drill instructor in 2013. In 2014, I became a master resilience implementer, which basically means that I teach 11 different skill sets to Air Force personnel to have them become more resilient. I work with the USO. I've gone and taught the Army and Marine Corps, and like it's just resilient skills that are necessary when they come back from overseas, from the Middle East, like how to basically bounce back and become more resilient. So
I got to ask, just to bust your chops a little bit, is how was it standing in front of a room full of Marines, being an Air Force guy trying to teach something? Did they give you hell?
Oh, it was awesome. No,
really?
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, that's awesome.
They were like it was. Well, at first it was funny because like I was like, yeah, so. I hate doing this, but I was like, a little bit about me, this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I do. Awesome. Like, wait a minute. Like, you were a drill instructor? Like, yeah, like a for real drill instructor? I'm like, well, yeah, like for the Air Force. They're like, no, I mean like a for real one. Oh, you were Air Force? Oh, okay. I'm like, oh my God, here we go.
Right.
So I told them, so here's how I combat that, right? I always tell them, like, well, listen, Marines need heroes too, because when you guys are deep behind enemy lines because you bit off more than you can chew, I'll be behind you dropping bombs with the airplanes. Don't worry, we literally got your back.
I mean, you guys are the smart ones. You the ones that, send your officers to battle, so I get it.
Right. But no, it was great, man. And they were like, so as long as you provide value, because what's funny though is like you and I can go back and forth, but the underlying, like it's almost like an unsaid respect.
100%.
Like. Yes, okay, Marine this, Army this, Navy so
right.
It's whatever. But the underlying respect is there because we've all served. We make fun of each other and then a civilian tries to do it and all the military people just look at him and go, oh, no, you didn't.
Well, the funny thing is a lot of people don't see it, but I love to wear my Marine Corps hat, the veteran hat, out in public, and I don't do it for the accolades. I want to see the other veterans, and you get that instant. And I see an Air Force guy, I'm going to bust his chops, or I see an Army guy, I'm going to bust his chops. But it's that immediately, oh, I'm sorry you were in the Army. Hey, thanks for your service. It's just that. It's come cool, camaraderie.
It's like Air Force, huh? Nice hotel. I'm like, saved your life a couple times with those bombs. You know what I mean? You shake hands, and it's like, thanks, dude. And you just keep on, you keep it
100%.
But it's always that initial. It's almost like you have camaraderie and brotherhood throughout the branches, just because we've all served.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was great, man. I taught them everything I was supposed to teach them and learned a lot and did what I was supposed to do. And they're like, wow, that was really good. Like, I appreciate that. And in 2015, I'm like, look, I got to build this business. This is what I want to do. I want to be a speaker. I'm already doing resilience skills. I'm already working with USO. I'm like, I got to do this. So I had a plan, a strategic rollout plan. So 2015, I was like, well, what is everybody else doing? I want to know what everybody else is doing. So I inventoried. They got books, they got shows, they got courses and ebooks and tripwires and ClickFunnels. And like, I'm writing down everything that these guys have. I'm like, all right, cool. I want to know the back end process. So I'm subscribing to people's lists just to like search like through their emails. Like, okay, what is the frequency of their email? What is this? Like, how do you write a book? What's the book got to be about? So I'm like, research 2015, 2016, wrote a book, 2017, laid out a show. So yeah, my show has been going on for over a year, and that has gotten me speaking engagements just because I'm a podcaster.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like I've like in May, I'm going to Utah to the Outliers Podcast Festival as a keynote speaker to that podcast event because I have a show. You know what I mean? Cool. So you've opened the door to new opportunities. Everything that you do, I can go speak at an author's conference because I'm an author. 2016 was like, okay, this is my brand, the Success Core. This is my brand. This is what I'm doing. And all the while, I'm still researching how to deliver TED Talks, and I'm watching thousands of TED Talks, and each one of them's kind of the same. Here's the format. Here's what this one wants. Okay, cool. And I'm joining courses, joining Facebooks. Like I'm diving headfirst into everything that needs to happen. Right? But I still have a strategic rollout. So 2016 was the book. 2017 was the radio show. This year was the Success Core Mastermind. Next year, it'll be probably an online course. The next year will be probably another radio show or another podcast. I'll have 2 podcasts. Like, it's always going to be something year over year over year. It's going to be something. So I master this for a year. Next. Another year, next, you know what I'm saying? So
right. Let's back up 2 seconds and talk about TEDx specifically, because you dropped some really cool things out there of some of the things you did, and some of the stuff you threw out there is not only the research, but the joining the groups and listening to the TED Talks. Yep. Can you give us really more specifically tactical things? What was that tactical process you went through to go from knowing you want to do a TED Talk to actually landing the TED Talk?
So I have a bunch of signature talks that I got, about 4 signature talks. So I speak on resilience, leadership, team building, and team performance. And then I talk on business strategy, because during the military, I've built 3 successful businesses. I had an entertainment company in 2004. My wife and I had an antique store that we bought storage units. And then I was like, all right, well, what do I know that I've done? And I'm building this other business, right? So what have I done? What do I know? And what's my big idea? So you have to write down that big idea. And I took my life's work and put it as like why was I successful? What are the kind of the key, like the KPIs, right? The key performance indicators. Like, what is that made me successful in whatever it was that I was doing? And so some of the resilience skills that I teach talk about hacking into your brain and rewiring your brain structure and neuroplasticity and how you learn and grow and all that. So my big idea was that, well, you can hack into your brain and reprogram that negative thinking. All of the things that I've ever done great in my life, I always had a positive outlook. I was always optimistic. I was always passionate and purposeful. When I was drinking and hurting people and doing stupid things, I didn't care about the world. Like, screw you, dude, I don't care.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what I did was I went to TED.com, and on TED.com, you can search for TEDx events. Through those TEDx events, I figured out what themes, because each event, and it's the same with conferences. Each conference has a theme. It's a technology theme. It's a connectivity theme. It's a, empowering your life theme, women's empowerment conference. Like, you find the themes that fit you. And so I found the themes that fit my what I would talk about or my big idea. And then I just applied. And so the one that I got was in TEDx Wilmington in Delaware last December. And it was called Community Connection Through Innovation or something like that. And so we had to have like these innovative ideas, like never thought of before, like all that stuff that'll bring a community together. I'm like, well, you need to hack into your brain and reprogram how you think, feel, and believe about yourself. And then I went into my story and everything else, and they loved it. They were like, oh my gosh, like that is amazing. I look at some of the TEDx talks that were there that day, and they've gotten a couple hundred views. Mine's got over like 93 or 9,400 views.
Nice.
And so when I made my title, I wanted it to be something that would be searchable. I wanted it to be emotional for people. So hack your brain for success. Right now we're talking about growth hacking. Every other Facebook post has something about growth hacking.
Right.
Everything has about, like I got a buddy of mine that just made a course for house hacking, how to flip houses, how to get into real estate. It's called house hacking. So I was like, okay, well, hacking seems to be the key search terms right now. Success is what everybody wants. Nobody wants to fail. Nobody wakes up and says, I think I'll fail at everything today.
I don't know. Some people still seem like they're heading in that direction,
Right? Right? It's because they don't care.
Right, right.
I looked at it. I was like, you know what? Like, hacking your brain for success. And that was kind of what I talked about in resilience anyways. That's what I did. And I applied according to what the event planner was looking for. Because it's not about you, it's about the 100%. Event planner. So if the event planner says, I want this type of speaker to do it this way to get this result, then you just tailor your message and tailor your signature talk to appease the event planner, because that's who's ultimately going to hire you. Right. He loved it. He was like, oh my God, I want this at my TED Talk, that we're going to do this TEDx event. It's like, heck yeah. So it was like a dream come true. You know what I mean? And then I started duplicating the process. And so I got a couple students of mine, a couple friends of mine, fellow speakers, colleagues, whatever, and now they're doing TEDx Talks. And I'm like, yes, I know this works now. I'm like, hey, try this and see if this works. Boom, it worked. And I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. So my friend just did one last month, and now they're doing one again next month.
Oh, awesome.
Like 2 TED Talks in about 3 to 4 months. I'm like, holy crap, that's awesome.
Right.
So yeah, you go to TED.com, you search for the TEDx events that are coming up, and then you figure out through their website when the call for speakers come out. You can even search like TEDx call for speakers, whatever you want. But you have to search for the themes that fit what you talk about. So I saw one the other day, and it kind of made me laugh, and it was like a woman's reproductive something or other, TEDx talk, whatever, right? I was like, well, I'm not going to talk on that one. Like, not going there, unless I was like a reproductive therapist or something. But no, so you have to really pick and choose, because you're just going to get a lot of no's for stupidity reasons. You never want to get a no because you were stupid. Like if you're going to get a no, it's going to be because somebody else's proposals are better than you. So if there's like a leadership TEDx talk and I do leadership, then I'm competing against and believe me, hundreds of people apply to every single TEDx talk.
Right.
So your proposal better be top notch, and it better be exactly what they're looking for. And 100%. It better be a great idea that if implemented could change lives. That's the key thing.
Well, and I love that, because I think a lot of people go in with their signature talk, and they're trying to submit what they know versus tailoring it to the actual conference. Yes, that's huge.
It doesn't matter about TEDx, man. Like, I submit like 2 proposals every day, Monday through Friday, so like 10 a week. At least I try.
Right.
And every time, man, it's like, what are they looking for? I'm looking for a motivational speaker that talks about business for real estate agents. Well, that's not me, so I'm not going to apply. But people do, and they get denied. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, I'm sure that I could have some great ideas, but I wouldn't be effective.
Right.
Your proposals get denied because you're not what they're looking for. Your proposal doesn't make any damn sense. And so you need to apply and write your proposal in a way that is exactly what the event planner is looking for and is value to the audience.
Right.
That's huge.
That's awesome. Well, brother, I really appreciate that insight, because I know a lot of people are going to get a ton of value about this. So a couple of things for me. Talk to us a little bit about your book. Talk to us about the Success Core, your radio show. Walk us through all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I wrote the book in 2016 called, and I love the title, because it makes so much sense. So decisions, the power to overcome self-defeating behaviors.
Oh, I like it.
Because when people our decisions are based on how we think, feel, and believe about the world, and how we think, feel, and believe about ourselves.
Right.
So, we make decisions every day. We make hundreds of decisions. We have thousands of thoughts every day. So when I wrote the book, it was more of a therapy session. It was an autobiographical approach to how you can change your life by just making simple decisions. Do I make a decision to drink or not to drink? Do I make a decision to do this bad behavior or not do this bad behavior? Do I make a decision to, what I'm saying? It's all decisions. And some people are like, nope, this is how I am. This is how I am. Well, change. Oh, people don't change. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
People change all the time.
All the time.
All the time. So, I talked about everything. I talked about how I felt, and people are like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not a suicide survivor. I would never do that. And that was an alcohol addiction. I was never that, but this book changed my life. Like there's always something you can identify with in somebody else's story. Always.
Right. 100%.
There's always, everybody has a story. Everybody.
Right.
And you can resonate with that story if you choose to listen to the story.
And where can people find that book at?
It's on Amazon.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Yeah. Decisions, the power to overcome self-defeating behaviors. Everybody has self-defeating behaviors.
Right. And then I love this radio show name. It's Life Transformation Radio.
Yeah.
Walk us through that.
Yeah. So in 2017, I was thinking, I was like, man, I got to have a podcast. Actually at the end of 2016, I was like, I need something, right? Like, what's the next step? I'm already strategizing. What's the next step? So I just said, we need a podcast. We need a radio show. We need something. I always ask 3 questions, and this is going to be great value for your listeners. I always ask 3 questions. What will I do more of than anybody else? What am I going to do differently than anybody else? And how will I connect more than anybody else? So what am I going to do more of? So I'm going to, connect with them in a different way. I'm going to, as a speaker, I do event aftercare. I interact with them more than I've seen other speakers interact with the audience. As a podcaster, what do I do more of? I give out the graphics. I share the links. I do book launches. So, I have my normal listening times, which is Wednesday and Friday, but then Tuesdays and Thursdays are specifically reserved for event launches, book launches, product launches, event, promotions, whatever. I'm promoting those things on Tuesday and Thursday. So in that way, I'm doing more than some of the other guests because they do a weekly show, right? They do every Wednesday a show comes out. And so what do I do differently? My show is live. It's a live show. And by live, I don't mean Facebook Live. I mean live online. And you can actually call into the show and get yourself on the show asking questions. I've had guys from Australia, Canada, UK. I've had people from all over the world call in and ask my guests questions.
Nice.
So what am I doing differently? I'm a live show where you can call in. And then how do I connect? We tell the stories like we're doing here. We tell the stories of how we were and how we are now. So we're going on this journey of transformation. You know what I mean? So that's huge.
That's awesome,
huge.
Brother. That's awesome. All right. So if you were going to leave the audience with this one key phrase, something that they could take with them for the rest of their journey, because I believe we're all on a journey, what would be that phrase that you would tell them that they can take with them on their journey?
A phrase?
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
boy.
to put you completely on the spot, but I'm putting you on the spot.
There's so many phrases, and they're so cliche, I always tell people, to live your brand, live your truth, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you have in your heart. And when you live those core values, you start drawing people in. How I end my speeches is I always say, let your test be your testimony and let your mess be your message.
Nice.
And so a lot of us have a story to tell because that's our testimony and that's our message. And so a lot of speakers are like, well, I don't have a message. What do I talk about? Well, I don't know. What did you go through? What's the adversity? What are you a genius at? What's your zone of genius? Have you built businesses? Have you, what are you good at? Talk about that,
Right.
So let your test be your testimony and let your mess be your message. And so my messages are all of that. My testimony and the crap that I went through and overcoming. So that's why I founded the Success Corps, which is a group based off of the military.
Right.
It's literally come join the Success Corps. I didn't want to be firstnamelastname.com, firstnamelastnamespeaks.com. I didn't want to be the face. I want this organization to be something bigger than just me speaking. So the Success Core is not only me, but it's a mastermind. It could be a 501c3. It could be a nonprofit organization. It could be a charitable organization. It could be, a speaking and training seminar company. It could be so many different things, but I'm only one faceted. I'm only me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I had the Success Core, which is actually a free Facebook group on Facebook.
Oh, nice. So they can just go to Facebook, go to groups, look up Success Core and get there.
The Success Core, CORPS.
Beautiful. So it's like the Marine Corps, but with success on the front end, right?
Yep.
And I'll put all those links in the show notes. Brother, I really appreciate it. One of my messages I always like to get out there is just be authentically you. Take down the mask. Just let your hair down and be you. So, dude, I really appreciate you being on the show. I'll make sure all this is in here, and really, on your journey, keep having fun, man. And thanks for sharing your story with us.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hey guys, I really appreciate you listening to this podcast today. I hope your journey continues to be badass. Please comment, share, and tell the world about this podcast, and run like hell.